Hello there, friends, and welcome back to the South American Dota Pro Podcast, episode 12 of SADPP. We had a little bit of a delay getting this episode out there. We had something else planned. That got canceled, but we found something even better. Today, I'm excited to bring back Bowie and two Brazilian boys, members of the SG Esports organization. We've got Mateus Cysne, I think.
Yeah.
I probably butchered it, but I tried. He's
Perfect.
the owner or one of the co-founders here of SG, and then China is their manager. And we're excited to dive a little bit deeper, maybe learn a little bit under the hood of what's been going on in Brazilian esports. First up, though, Bowie, welcome back. How are you, bud?
Oh, good. Doing really well. Just exercise. Feeling great, man.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Look at you. And probably an exciting episode for you, although we're going to do most of this in English. This is all about Brazil, baby. This is like the episode for Brazil esports. So let's fucking go, right?
Perfect.
So, yeah, where do we want to start, Bowie? What's the first topic you want to dive into? Mateus, thank you for joining us, man. I feel like we don't get to talk to like co-founders or like heads of team organizations very often. Now, a lot of them like to keep a lower profile. So, first of all, thank you for joining us and willing to talk a bit. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you guys for your invitation. I'm really excited to talk a little bit about SG, our history, how it's going right now. I always listen to you guys. I'm a huge fan as well, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, shit, man.
Dope.
I appreciate it. Maybe that is a good starting point. How are things going right now? We just finished week 2 of the second DPC season. How are we feeling? What's the general vibe right now?
Well, I couldn't lie. Like after yesterday, we are a little bit sad because as competitors, we felt that loss really bad. You know, we were preparing really hard for this encounter. We studied them really hard. I saw the fight that the boys put in to study Thunder Predator. It's a really tough team. They are playing really well. We knew that, and the players were really focused. But the first game, we did what we were supposed to do. We were focused. We did our picks that we thought that were good enough to beat them, and we did. But the second and the third game, I think like I'm not there in Fortaleza with the boys. China is not there too, but I don't know. Maybe they got a little bit anxious, and they were caught like in the draft, I guess.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not sure what to make of this trend that we're seeing, but this series that you're talking about, the SG versus Thunder Predator we just saw yesterday, this has followed the same kind of pattern that a lot of these big matchups have, where you have a game 1 that looks fairly convincing. Oh, boys, this might be a quick series for SG. Game 2 is like, okay, yeah, it just went back the other way. And then game 3 looks sort of like game 1, but convincing the other way. And then you go, oh, wow, now that I just watched that game, Thunder Predator looks really good. And you almost wish, like, man, if this were a best of 5, dude, this could get really interesting. You know, it's like some of the series like that have been really close. It's fun to watch, but it's kind of a heartbreaker to win game 1 and then lose 2 in a row like that.
Yes,
Imagine.
definitely. Well, we had like a long break from the last game that we lost to No Ping as well. We really felt that game too, but I think there are 4 teams right now that are really going well. It's us, No Ping, Thunder Predator, and Beast Coast. And when we lost to No Ping and then to Thunder Predator, after No Ping, we had a long break to study them really hard, and China can talk a little bit more about that, but the boys were really focused. So it's really sad
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
I really hoped we had like a BO5, but
Yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
the rules. So
I agree that I mean it's really sad, but when you compare the match you guys had with No Ping to the one with Thunder Predator, arguably better than No Ping, right? I think we can all agree.
yes, definitely.
Not only it went to 3 games, but I really feel like there was improvement from that first series to the second one. So in that regard, I think that's positive. It's kind of hard that you have to improve as the tournament's coming. So that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna qualify to the major. But if this is a long-term project, I think you guys. I mean, at least it feels like you're working towards the right direction.
China, I'm curious to hear about your perspective on this current format and having so much time in between series to prepare. Is it objectively a good thing? Is there like a dark side to this? Because as much as you have all this time to try to figure out your opponent, it's equal but opposite, right? Thunder Predators got all that time to do research on you guys and figure out what your weaknesses are.
Yeah, I don't like too much this kind of format because you have a long break, like 1 week or one BO3, and if you lost a lot, right? And in 2019, when I was with Chaos, we did a lot of tournaments that was BO2, like round robin, everyone against everyone. This for me, this is the best format, but I don't know if the PC we can do it, right? It's really hard to play a
To have
game if you're not okay or your team is not in a good day. If you lose a BO3 against an, I don't know, lower division team that's in the upper division, if you lost that, GG. You lost like a huge, I don't know, a huge,
Part of the
uh,
way,
like
right?
a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really hard to play against the other teams like Visco, Stun Predator, Doping. Okay, if you lose against them, it's okay. But if you lose to I don't know,
Yeah.
a team that you're better, you lose a lot. So if this break, I don't like this break because we don't get used because we are Brazilian, right? South American likes to play Dota all the time, and that's why sometimes I like the way
Mm,
we play the BTS tournaments for
I see.
America. It's kind of like it's Dota all day. We play like 2, 3 BO2s and okay for us, but one BO3 is really hard because if you lost the game one, it's the second game will be
Yeah.
much harder than the first one.
I have
I
heard
don't.
people say in the past, like so historically, some teams on LAN, one of the big ones has been like if you're the lower bracket team on the last day, you have the team in the grand finals waiting. How long of a break do we have between the lower bracket finals and the grand finals? And some teams they want like 2 or 3 hours. They want a full lunch break. They want to have time to decompress, do a little research, like relax and kind of reset completely. Then there's other teams that say, give us 10 minutes. I just need to go pee. We're ready to go. Let's just keep this. Let's keep the momentum going, baby. We just won the lower division. Now we're winning the upper division. It kind of sounds like you're saying that you guys are a little bit more of like a momentum team where you almost prefer, like, all right, we just won a series. Oh, this is awesome. We're hype. Let's go and get it. Let's smash them again, kind of thing. That was sort of my takeaway from what you just said.
Yeah, yeah. I think all the South American teams is like that, right? If you see Thunder Predator play like I don't know 12 games in the major, they destroy everyone. They got the first in the group stage, and after the playoffs, they start a amazing
Mm.
line in the lower bracket. It was amazing to watch, and it was a team that liked to play Dota, right? And start to play one
Yeah.
game, another. It's like that. I think I don't like this system, but I I agree with other guys that like that system because you have time to study the other team. The other team has the same time you're gonna study you, but I don't like the system that you play one BO3 and that makes you better or worse than the other team. I
Mm.
like
yeah.
the system that you play against everyone like 2 times, like round
I
robin. I
think that
don't
would
know.
be definitely like an
Yeah.
improvement. A lot of people talked about this, where like at least you could play a BO2 against everyone twice, right? So instead of one BO3 against everyone, you have back to back.
Well, because
I'm
timing
not
matters. I mean, that helps remove some of the RNG of like it's a new patch. If you're matched up
Yeah,
against,
I
like,
feel like that's
yeah,
sorry.
no, you're. I think we're saying the same thing. Like, you could basically get unlucky where, all right, we're playing Beast Coast first. It's a new patch. We haven't seen Beast Coast play at all because they didn't go to the major. That's pretty
Yeah.
shitty. If I could choose, I'd rather play Beast Coast like 5th or 6th or something so that you can at least see like what they're doing, what heroes are they playing, how are they adjusting to the patch. Like, that variance alone over a 6-week league is fucking ridiculous. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we saw the I think it was Thunder Predator versus Infamous, they just came back from the major. So like imagine they went to the major. They obviously wanted your ass. So I'm pretty sure they didn't scrim, they didn't play. They almost lost to Infamous because like obviously Infamous was here just chilling. They played a lot of the new patch, and it felt like if Infamous was just a little bit better, and Thunder Predator is obviously like much
Jet
better
lagged.
than them. Yeah, and jet lagged. Like they could have lost, and it's pretty much just because of the patch. So I just like the way the patch drop and the system works. I definitely feel you guys a little bit in that regard.
But on a more positive, go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying that I agree with you guys. It's like I think 1 week from each game, it's too much time, because for example, when we see last season, like we had a DPC, like a regional that was really calm, and you had like a week to prepare for your other confront. So it's good. When you see just that point, it's kind of good. You can prepare very well for your opponent, and but when you get the whole vision, you go like, for example, in major like Quincy Krill, I saw Lelis complaining about it. They played like 6 games in one day, and they just lost. And it's too calm in one point and too rushy. I don't know if that exists in another point. So I think Valve should balance like the times between these majors and regionals, and I totally agree with you guys. Like a BO2, and we could, if we could play like again with Thunder Predator. I know that we could do better yesterday, and it's I agree with you guys. I don't think it's the best choice of formats to the teams.
Is there an upside though? Because I did an interview with Brax a couple weeks ago, and he told me that he's heard a lot more optimism of non-Dota team organizations in North America that were not interested in Dota at all when we were in the chaotic sort of random tournament structure, and now that we at least have this dedicated league with guaranteed eyeballs, scheduling exclusivity, that a lot of them are more interested, and he definitely expects a few of them to perhaps make an investment once we know which North American teams are going to TI, perhaps. Have you guys felt any of that in South America? Like, have you had any promising conversations with like sponsors, or has there been any kind of additional buzz from like a business side since we've set up this league format?
Yeah, definitely. That was the main point, that we got back to business, right? We had a break in 2019, so just because of that. Because when we looked at Dota, like I'm enthusiastic to Dota, and I love that game. I played like, I'm really bad, so like I'm 3K. I've played that for
I feel your
like
pain,
10
buddy.
years. Yeah, that's sad. But I've been playing this game for like 10 years, just following the pro scene, and that's where my passion came from. And when we opened this company, we thought like we are trying to give better opportunities here in South America, because we didn't see like companies investing, and we wanted to try to compete with bigger teams like European teams, Chinese, but Dota was, like you said, kind of chaotic, because you
Kinda.
didn't have like but
Super
being really
chaotic.
kind, being really kind to them, but it was too risky, you know. Either you lose everything, either you get like you become millionaire, you know. So that was one thing, and either you get visualizations and good material for your sponsors, or you just don't get nothing. So it's kind of hard. But when they changed that format in the end of 2019, like 2020, we thought here's a great opportunity to come back to Dota, because now we can show the sponsors, like we have a calendar, your company will appear right now in this, and we have dates that we can show you guys. We are going to play these tournaments, because like when we always went to talk to sponsors, they said, okay, what you guys got? I said, well, we are one of the top teams here in South America. When my brand is going to appear? You
Look
know
at
that?
all these
And said,
qualifiers.
yeah, and I said, well, it's here, but it's so shady, you know. So they just said, well, okay, I rather invest in Counter Strike or League of Legends, because Dota is like it's not was not organized enough to a serious company to
Yeah.
invest in.
Yeah.
You know, so that was an issue we all faced during our trajectory.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of the sponsors I've been able to sell over the years at Moonduck and various other places that are interested in Dota, fundamentally, I've failed at selling people that don't understand Dota on the value proposition of Dota. And the only people I've been able to sell to are folks like yourself that have a lot of hours and have been playing for 5 years, 10 years. Those are the only people that get it. You know, if we're lucky to find somebody that works at Intel that happens to play Dota, that's your guy that's going to get your proposal actually moving somewhere. Without that guy, I don't know how to do it, because it is really hard to convince people that Dota is better than some of these other games. And I laughed earlier because you said, look, we have a schedule. Like, it's a revelation. And it's like every other tier 1
years
esport.
after the game.
Seriously, that's like the base of the pyramid. And here in Dota, we're 10 years in, like, got that calendar, mate. Shit's looking real good for us.
Definitely, yeah. That's what I felt like. I said, right now we have the opportunity to show someone that doesn't follow, like you just said, is not a huge fan of Dota. We might have a good opportunity to show their branding. So I can do a branding exposure. I can like have metrics to show to them, because that's what all is about. You know, I need to sell my image to sponsors that will get visualizations, and they get branding. For example, if a brand that's not into esports, they want to enter, and they want to know, well, which type of public do I will get in? You sold sponsors, so you know how it works. So
what kind of demographics are we looking at? Yeah.
Yes, and in Dota we couldn't even tell them how many games we would have in like 3 months. So it was completely chaotic. If I was a sponsor, probably back then, I would definitely give the same answer to myself.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not worth. So, but now with the DPC, I really think that that's changing. We had some sponsors, like we have Melius, that's a big company here in Brazil. They are sponsoring us right now. They are like the biggest cashback company here in Brazil.
Oh,
and
okay. That sounds pretty big. That's serious.
Yeah,
that's like a real non-endemic sponsor. That's not just like, you know, keyboards and mice and shit. That's like real people stuff. You know, that's awesome.
Yeah. That they are like a company that's revolutionary. Oh, sorry. They are doing revolution.
You had it. They're revolutionary. Yeah, you were there.
Revolutionary, yes. that's the point. Like we had some non-endemic sponsors. Like there's another one that's really nice. It's a company called Tribe. They are a company here in Brazil that they teach people how to program
Oh,
like softwares, and that for free if you pass their exams, and you just pay their course after you graduate and get a work, and that you get
oh,
paid at least.
that's pretty cool.
Uh,
So it's like
Yeah.
a
that's
whole
really
pipeline
cool.
where they teach you and then they help you find a job, and that's awesome. That's
Exactly.
really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And they are like uh, getting really big here in Brazil. They got an investment, like huge millionaire investment, and they are also non-endemic. But we like the Dota 2 public. It's kind of related. We all like get in touch with technology, and
Right.
that's and now these sponsors they are getting a little bit about how to invest in esports and get into these people that they didn't get into before. But
Yeah.
we also just not to just to say about everyone, we are also sponsored by Razer that are providing us with awesome gear and
Dude, I've been using Razer keyboards for going on a decade now, so you're in good company here.
yeah, definitely they are awesome.
So, I mean, you mentioned when you guys actually left and came back to esports in 2018, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to know, like, was the GESC problem and like all of those tournaments that I guess still owe you guys, was that like a big part of that decision, or was it just like a small part of maybe lack of sponsors or just chaotic environment? Like
Well,
how
how
important was
big,
that?
nah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess
Well, I,
real quick before we dive in, just in case anybody doesn't know what GESC
Oh,
is,
true,
that was
true.
2018, the pre DPC circuit. That was the same circuit where we did the Captain's Draft 4 minor, where it was sort of an open field of like, hey, if you want to apply, you can do it. And there was like a major or minor every other weekend, it felt like, for most of the season.
Yeah.
GESC was a new tournament organizer that came in. None of us had ever heard of them before. They proposed and were given 4 minors, I think. And 2 of them were canceled, and the 2 that did happen never paid out to the teams or the talent, and it ended up being a pretty big scam where the people running the event kept what money was brought in, never paid out most of it, and now they've actually been sued by Valve. I don't think Valve's actually been paid, but Valve has filed an official lawsuit for the missing money. And SG Esports is one of the teams. Was it the first GESC that you guys went to? My memory's a little foggy.
I think so.
Yeah,
But you guys qualified for one of them, and yeah, I don't think you guys have been paid yet either.
nope.
Yeah.
China, do that time you were managing any other teams? You know?
No. That time I
Yeah,
was.
no, because we didn't get paid that time. I would say that was a part of the problem, but not the biggest factor that made our mind to stop our activities for a while. Because it's kind of tough to not get paid, right? But and the other payments that time back then we all normally they did take some time to get into our pockets, and that
Mhm.
was a little bit rough
Expected.
too. Yeah,
And for
but
perspective, at GESC, it was $10,000 that you guys won. You placed 7th out of 8th. So I think a lot of English-speaking fans might go, $10,000? Well, who cares? I mean, that's not a lot of money. If that's going to sink your company, then you guys were already in a bad spot. But maybe we could just give some context on what 10,000 USD translates to in Brazil, right? Because that's got to be like pretty serious money relative to your organization, right?
definitely. Yeah. Like I was saying, it was not like the big factor, but the fact that you don't get paid, it's kind of hard, you know, not the money itself, you know, because you
Mentally, right?
can't, yeah, the mentality, you can't like predict, because every company has to have a real financial business plan. So if you can't plan your year, you're going to get lost. You're going to like get bankrupt. So, but
Well, especially when it's unpredictable, right? If it happens at one event, it's reasonable to ask yourself, well, how many other tournaments are we not going to get paid for? Is this business worth it if we're only going to get paid for 50% of the tournaments we pay in? Like, truly a one-off. Okay, that's fine. That's course of doing business. Things happen. But if this is going to be a regular thing, I don't know if our financial plan makes any sense anymore.
Yeah, and it was like an official event. Like Valve was sponsoring that event. So that's a huge thing, because $10,000. Okay, but imagine the teams that won. Like I think Secret won that one. That tournament. I don't know.
VGJ Storm won that one actually, and Keen Gaming got second.
And how much money did they?
It was $100,000 for first place for VGJ, 65,000 USD for Keen Gaming, and third and fourth was 35,000 each. So
that's a lot of money. For you ask how much money that would give here in Brazil? It's like half a million reais. It's like $1. It equals 5 reais here.
That's like a really good house. Like anywhere.
Yes, for example, people always, I've seen some streamers, American streamers, they talk about, Valve should step in and fiscalizar.
They should like keep eye.
They should keep an eye in how much organizations here in South America they pay the players. And I heard it's like less than $500, and I just thought to myself, this guy has no idea how much $500 is here in Brazil. It's not that small that you guys that are here right now might think.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it was not the big deal that we decided to have a break. I think mainly it's the sponsor thing. It was really, really hard to convince people that Dota was worth investing in because, we are a company. We invested a lot of money to provide the infrastructure to the players. They live in Fortaleza. They have a really good house there and a housekeeper and a really good food and the best internet and the best equipment, and that all costs a lot of money. And we as a company need to get that back from investing,
Mm-hmm.
And back then we couldn't sell the worth of that to sponsors. So and nowadays if you get any organization, the sponsors are the main thing that keeps the organizations running. So if no sponsors, you are dead.
So what about prize pool cut? Because this is one thing that I've heard a lot of, let's say rumors, or I can't really verify a lot of this. It all gets translated. It's a little hard for me as a foreigner relative to South America. But I've heard that in the past, there's distrust from a lot of Peruvian players with a lot of the Peruvian organizations, because in the past, the organizations have offered them really, really bad deals on we can't sell sponsors. We can give you a little bit, but if you win this tournament, we're going to take 80% of your prize pool winnings, and that's how the organization is going to recoup that cost. I guess what level of transparency can you share with us about what percentage SG takes, and how do you go about calculating what a fair percentage is, knowing that you're working in an environment because from my perspective, hearing that, maybe that's fair. Maybe there's a world where if you can't sell any sponsors, but you're paying players a salary, taking 75% of prize pools might actually be kind of a fair business model. It sounds crazy from a Western perspective of how the team salaries are structured, but it's just a totally different business model. So I'm just curious what your experience with the prize pool percentage is.
Okay. Yeah. No. Right now I couldn't tell you the percentage because of the contract.
Fair. Understood.
But anyway, I definitely can talk about the whole point of view, because I think we here in Brazil imported that mentality from Europeans in North America and China, like the environment as a whole, to get here, and the players got like 90%, and the organization got like 10%, and also needed to pay salaries and needed to provide everything, because that's how it works like in Europe, and that's how it works in North America, Asia.
Yeah.
But here in South America, it's like, just like you said, it's completely different. As a businessman from this business model, I would say that's really hard to maintain that kind of sharing, because in a long term, it will break you if you follow these models. Because in North America, for instance, I think EG, they are sponsored like by Microsoft. There are really big sponsors there that you can actually survive doing that kind of math, this economic. But here in South America, it's a different business. So it's not that much like in Europe and North America, but I still think it's quite harsh for the investors here, like we in SG, and but for instance, we just expanded to Counter-Strike. It's a completely different environment and mentality, in Counter-Strike and Dota 2, because Dota 2, we lack of like players that can provide like substantial results in consistent times. They are regular in their results. So
we've only got one Beast Coast, is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And like for example, in Counter-Strike, no, you have like really good players that are really fighting for an opportunity, and you can negotiate more with more, I would say, better options. You can just talk to them and say, hey, I need to survive in order to keep providing you your salary and keep providing you the things you need to compete. So I think there's a kind of mentality that here in South America we should import the how it works in Europe or North America, but I don't think that's the best thing to do. I think it's a different environment, But we have like players that we can talk with. That's a good point. China was a really good factor in this negotiation, because he really understands our side and their side, when we could reach like a fair ground of communication. And I think nowadays we are just both happily enough, because if one side of the contract is not happy, it's not a good contract. Everyone should like easy a little bit. And
well, yeah. I mean, if you're trying to build something long term, you gotta build trust and take care of people. And I just, real quick, Bowie, I just want to say, like, I think you're absolutely right about companies like EG. I'm looking at their sponsor list. They also have Razer, but they've had this deal with Monster for 5+ years now. Like Coinbase is on here, Absolute Vodka, Bud Light. Like, these are the kind of sponsors that EG has, and these are the kind of sponsors that they don't do micro activations. They don't do like peripheral sponsors where it's like, yeah, we want like $2,000 a month. We want to start light. Like, if you're talking to companies at this size, you're talking about like 6-figure, 7-figure advertising spends, and their organization is obviously way bigger than just a Dota team. So the kind of impressions that they can deliver across the whole Evil Geniuses ecosystem, it's like, it's not linear, right? They're like exponential growth kind of compared to some of these other regions. So I think you're absolutely right. All of this is just to say there's a lot of evidence to make the case that you can't just copy paste the business models and ignore all the regional differences that exist in between. So
I wanted to ask you about the team bundles because that's kind of what
That's
drove
so
us
sad,
here.
man.
But before we get to there, I just wanted to ask, since you mentioned the CS:GO team, are they actually staying in Fortaleza? Like, is everyone there, or are the CS:GO players like in their own houses?
No, they are in their own house right now
Okay,
because
but do you plan to eventually like group everyone, have like a bigger operation, or
yeah,
is the
definitely. This CS:GO team is like it's we are investing in them because we watched them for a few weeks and they play together. They are I think they're really good, and I think we will climb our steps to the top like with this team.
Mhm.
And as we climb, we are going
Interesting.
to provide like better facilities because everything should pay itself. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
so, but they are really good, and I really think we are investing in them right now because we believe in them.
Mhm.
And but for about the Fortaleza question, if they are going to Fortaleza as well, I really don't know because there is a factor that you guys just helped me to talk with. It was the EllaLink Twitter,
Ah,
like you guys shared.
mm.
And as we spoke to them, as we retweeted them, I got their contact and I
Oh, that's
could
so
like
awesome.
yeah, that's really awesome, and that's the point that I wanted to bring because you guys helped I think to establish connection with them, and I had a
Wow.
meeting with one of their representatives, and it's I think personally it's going to change everything like in the globe, like in
Wow.
esports because they are already ready. They are just finishing their tests, and it will get a direct link to Europe from South America, Fortaleza. And for example, there's a lot of Counter Strike team that lives in North America just to play with Europeans, but with this cable, we are going to get better pings than in North America.
Uh-huh.
We will have 55 ping to Europe, Lisbon,
Dude.
and like 70 to Luxembourg. So it's going to
Wow.
be awesome.
70
Really,
to
really,
Lux. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, dude. That is
70
so
to
amazing.
80. So amazing. And they are ready. Like they started this project in 2012.
Yeah.
2012. And they are not internet providers. So I don't know if any internet provider has already paid them and had a contract with them to sell this internet, this cable usage.
Mhm.
But as soon like I think in August or September it will be like open to
Dude,
it's
that's
going
so
to be
soon.
already working.
That's so
And I
good.
think that's insane because it will change our perspective. Here in Brazil, even in the southwest region, we will be able to
Mhm.
play in Europe. Like so,
Better than
there,
NA, probably, right? Yeah,
yeah,
like.
better than NA. So probably if we are going to build a gaming house for our Counter Strike team, it won't be necessarily in Fortaleza. It could
Mhm.
be here in southwest. It's a little bit more practical to us because we are a company from here. So
I
Right.
see.
but it's really awesome. Imagine
Yeah.
playing like in European servers.
Damn, dude. Yeah, no, I mean we've talked about it a lot. We kind of assumed that other folks had heard about it. It makes me really happy to hear that goofy tweet I put out actually got you guys in touch. And goddamn, dude, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, and you should be happy
Vamos.
because one of the things they told me that they are planning like a lot of good things. I really can't tell right now,
Sure.
but one of the things that opened their eyes to Dota 2 was our engagement with their tweeters,
Huh.
So like you two were the guys that provided this, and this was the main thing that they decided to like. Well, there's a Dota community, and I think they're the most needed one. They really engaged with our social media, so we are going to put them in our plans. So
Wow.
that was really cool.
Well,
man.
fantastic, man. That's really great to hear.
Amazing.
That's just also
Yeah.
just exciting for Brazil Dota and Brazil esports in general, South American esports. Like, damn, what an exciting time to be a part of the region. There's about to be some turbo growth, man. The next like 2-3 years are gonna be fucking
Definitely.
wild. This
Yeah.
is so good.
Definitely,
Wow.
definitely. Imagine
Uh,
in 2016 when we first invested in Dota, we didn't even have a spot for majors. So it was like I think to myself, I was kind of totally crazy because when the first time I invested in, there was no spot like for majors, and when we got the team, and then it opened one spot. So it was like. And it was kind of lucky for me, so and
I
for
mean,
my associates.
we always talk about European teams actually, like when will like big orgs migrate to SA, right? Because everyone always said that. I mean, we need captains and
Free
there's like
slot.
free slot and all that jazz. Like now, a team can come from Europe and still scream European teams staying here. So I wonder
Like,
how much of an impact this will have to in like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
In
imagine
terms
how
of-
much cheaper is for
Yeah,
teams,
yeah.
because €1 is like €4.
Yeah, way more. I think it's like 6
yeah,
point.
six,
So,
€6.
yeah.
So
It's so much.
it's so cheaper to
Yeah.
just live here, and they can provide like with the same money they give to them, like they can
Yeah.
provide like a mansion completely insane for the players, and
Half the price or even
yeah,
less.
half the price, definitely.
But yeah, the bundles.
Oh yes, the
just-
bundles. Oh, it's so sad, man. It was so exciting to when we got the news from Valve. China was the one negotiating with them. He got the messages, and it was really exciting. We put a lot of effort, investment in to make it ready in the timeline, in the time limit they scheduled. Our designers and associates, they didn't sleep for like a week to make it ready in time.
Ugh.
So that's sad because it was so good. And now I think you, Bowie, I saw you talking about there, like there are teams that are not even competing anymore, and
Yep.
players that are like not in the teams.
Yeah, I mean, like King
And-
RD was a part of some
Yeah.
of the memes in the YAR bundle, right? And he's like,
Exactly. It was really sad. We had like voice lines that were so cool that the community would love, and we were really expecting it. It was going to help financially because we would get a share from the
sales.
money, the income, and so it's sad. It's sad, and Valve doesn't give us many.
And there was no other
responses.
response. Like you,
I
ever
think China
since.
will can tell you better, but
So, but there was a deadline though. So that's because that's one thing
Yeah.
that a lot of
But-
people bring up of the like, well, maybe teams didn't, maybe they're some teams didn't submit, so then it gets really messy or something. To which I would say, well, if that's the case, then they just miss out. They just
Nope. Yeah.
if you miss the deadline, you don't get it. It's like the yearbook, right? You don't submit your thing.
Yes.
There's just a little blank spot next to your picture. That's how it works. That's what a deadline is.
exactly. I don't know why does someone put a deadline. We made that thing within the deadline, and we delivered it. And I know that other teams didn't. I know for a fact that other teams couldn't provide it. So they asked us to delay a little bit. Like we had already sent, and we did send, but 1 week or maybe 2 weeks at most. But we sent it before the first season started. So
Yeah, like I
you
could
can imagine
understand
that.
if they didn't send in the first season, but like week 3 is about to start of the second
Yeah.
season and we don't have them. That's
I don't
wish-
think it's going to be.
Yeah.
to be released. In
Yeah,
season.
I don't think so.
I mean, at this point, I feel like we would have at least heard some updates about like requests for new information or something. Because I really wish that I had screenshotted every post I saw of people telling me on Twitter they're going to drop it at the major. They were just waiting for this hype.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the anime, you know, now it's like they were waiting for the eyeballs. Just you wait, Zyori. You're so negative. Why are you always so negative about everything? All those people, I can't find them now. That's why I wish I screenshot them. They all disappeared. You know, they're all just whistling in the clouds somewhere. Like, I think we're running out of excuses of, oh no, they're just like there have been multiple perfect opportunities to drop this thing and they've passed.
Yes. No, and they could like talk with us, like the organization.
Yeah,
They
they could
don't
at
talk.
least.
They don't talk with us, you know, because we when China send them a message, we don't get responses to why it's not going, or even when it's going to be released or anything, because I don't know, it's kind of disappointing to get a company as valuable as Valve. Like, they have a tournament that pays $40 million, and it's just 25% of their income with these. So
Yeah.
I don't get how a company as big as this cannot like organize something simple, because we sent all the data, we sent all the images, and I know other teams did as well within the time limit. So I don't get why they just don't schedule a meeting with us. They never like we never talked like in a video call or anything with them, and we are the ones that keep their games alive, because we are the players, we are the ones investing our time, our efforts in this. So it's really awful to
I mean,
say at
even if
least.
they didn't schedule a meetup, right? They could make a post in their blog. They could like, okay, guys, it's late. We have X, Y, Z.
It feels like
problems.
a little would go a long way. You know, even if they just
Yes.
said, hey guys, we're sorry. We had this idea. It didn't work out. The bundles are a mess. If you submitted them already, thank you.
Sorry.
But you know,
Yeah.
/ shrug. This was an ambitious idea. We've only got these for like 20% of teams, or maybe teams sent some really garbage assets. They're like, we can't sell this. Whatever the reason is, just saying, hey guys, sorry, it's over. It means something. Like there's a lot of parallels you can draw, but like as Dota talent in the English community, I've only worked one TI, right? I was TI 5. So basically every TI, and I got into Dota around like after TI 3. So of the 6 TIs that I could have worked, I've only done one. And pretty much all of them, I've sat there wondering, am I going to get invited? Am I going to get invited? And you never get a no. Just one day, everyone's announcing that they're going to TI, and you realize, like, all right, I guess it's not coming because people are flying to TI, and I still haven't gotten my invitation. Limbo fucking sucks, right? I'm willing to accept that I didn't make the cut this year, but just tell me I didn't make the cut. And to be fair to Valve, they did do that one year. At the Super Major in China, a Valve employee pulled me aside and said, hey, just want to be straight with you. You're doing great at this major, but we don't have a spot for you at TI. They did tell me that one year. But all those other years, the limbo is so much more stressful, so much more demoralizing, so much more taxing. It just feels
it's
like
a kind of respect thing,
it costs
right?
you nothing to just give me a straight answer aside from like a little tiny amount of time. It could just be a mass email to everyone else that should, is in limbo. And to me, it would have a tangible impact on my life. It's a month of my life that would have noticeably lower stress where I wouldn't be thinking about this kind of stuff. So I feel you from that regard. Like, just not knowing is the worst fucking feeling, especially when it's like your livelihood that's hanging in the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you guys brought the GESC, GESC, right? And Valve didn't like send us a message. Like, there was an official championship that didn't pay the winning prize, and we didn't got one message from them.
I don't know
Like,
why
there was
Valve
no
didn't just
contact.
float the cash. Like, so as another
it's
personal example.
Damn, it's not that much money.
Yeah, like at Moonduck, right? That's why, like, when we started Moonduck, it wasn't just Moonduck Studios. It's Moonduck Studios and agency. And the agency aspect is like, if you're in our little guild, we represent you. And one of the things that we always did was pay people when services were rendered. So if we go to a LAN, a PGL event, there's 5 Moonduck people going, Moonduck invoices on everyone's behalf. When the event ends, Moonduck pays everybody within whatever, let's say a week after the event's over, like, hey, you did it, good job. PGL might not pay Moonduck for 30 days or 40 days, but we float that difference and that, quote, risk of getting paid because it's a service to the talent. It allows them to have livelihood and live a more regular life instead of floating payments for 6 months because tournament organizers don't want to pay. We saw that as like, hey, that's a service that we provide. That's why you pay us a percentage for this service that really protects you from a lot of risk. Now, we didn't really work with people we didn't trust, so we never didn't get paid. But I still, even if we didn't, that would have been us that ate the check. It's not like I would have asked for the talent fees back from the talent. They did what they were supposed to do. So, you know, transposing that onto this situation, if I were Valve, I would see that as like, what does our stamp of approval mean? Well, I think that means the prize pool's guaranteed. So that sucks for us. We should have done a better job vetting the people that we put our stamp on, but fundamentally our stamp means that we're also liable. And just passing the buck on that, god damn, that's such that's so demoralizing. That's like, it's all supposed to flow from the top down. It's like, own your shit, guys. What does your stamp mean if you're not willing to back it? Literally, what does that stamp mean? I guess that you get some qualifier points. That's it. There's no insurance policy, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, well, sorry to steal the show there, but yeah, it's I guess we're all on the same page. It's fucking frustrating, man. It's just
I'm a lawyer here in Brazil. Also, I did my graduation in law. Like, that's probably if I'm not like a expert in international private law or anything about that, but I guess like in a suit, right? In a process, in a suit, and we probably Valve would have to pay these teams, right? Because I didn't make a contract with GESC, for example, or even any team. Valve did, and I don't care if this team, this organizer didn't pay me. I didn't get a contract with them. Valve did.
Yeah.
So I never signed any contract with any organizer, for example, even once. So it's just about like the credit that Valve gives to the thing. So it's kind of really disorganized in my point of view for so much money floating, you know?
Well, it's telling that they obviously didn't vet people very well at all. I mean, I thought we were an exception as Moonduck because they knew us. So like there wasn't any vetting that was done. When we said, hey, we want to do this Captain's Draft Minor, they didn't ask for proof that like, hey, do you have any sponsors? Hey, can we see your bank account to prove that you can afford to run this event? It was just, oh, you want to do it? Okay, here you go. Like, here's the contract. And obviously the contract says like, yeah, you have to pay everybody out by these dates and all that stuff. But there was no verification. You could just sign it and go, yeah, sure. No, I got it. Don't worry, I got it.
I remember Secret. I think Cyborg Matt did like an open letter to Valve or anything about that, and we signed as well.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get paid, and anyone didn't get paid back then, and Valve didn't really care. So like all the big teams in the world, like, and it's kind of frustrating, you know. For example, we get our image explored. For example, if I were Quincy Krill and I float in the middle of a pandemic to Singapore and didn't get paid a single penny and like risked my life to play there, like they don't get like image rights, for example. Everyone's getting rich with their image of playing. It don't get paid, so it's kind of strange, you know. I don't know. I don't think it's the best way to work with. everyone needs to win in order the things to keep going. You know, organization should win, Valve should win, the players should win, everyone should win
Yeah.
to
I agree.
keep.
I think we will start taking steps towards a more unionized future. I don't know exactly what it looks like for Dota and esports, but I'm positive that is a direction that we're, because like you said, everyone has a vested interest in growing the whole ecosystem, and that's sort of how capitalism works. And our world's kind of based in capitalism right now. You have these opposing forces that kind of keep each other in check, and that's the whole point of like talent unions and player unions. That's why they exist in all the traditional sports. There's strong player unions that make sure they, get likeness rights and trickle down. Think about like Hollywood and acting and all that stuff. If your face is in anything, you're getting some percentage of some kickback. It might not be a lot, but in principle, the funnels are all set up so that if you're part of it, you're either getting paid to sign away your likeness rights or you're getting a percentage for somebody using your likeness rights. We live in this weird like millennial world where it's just we kind of expect everything for free on the internet, and I think that's trickled into some of our esports economics maybe a bit too much.
Definitely. Totally
Very
agreed.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Bowie, was there anything else you wanted to throw out there? Did we hit most of the big topics there, bud?
I think this is pretty much it. I think we talked about a lot of stuff. I really enjoyed the EllaLink side note. I didn't
Yeah,
expect
that's
that. That
really
was really
good.
cool.
Yeah, dude. That's same. That's
And just to say, the guy that I talked about his name is Thomas, and he's a professional player for Audacity, yeah, from Rainbow Six. Like he's a really pro player.
okay.
Like
It's like
And
a
he
real
works for
esports
EllaLink?
guy.
yeah, he's French, and he's really nice. He was so
Wow.
cool with talking with us, and he's a guy like from within the community. Like he's a pro player. He competes like for, and he also works for EllaLink. So he's
Huh.
the guy who is running the projects to
Wow.
explore like the gaming stuff because it will impact drastically in the game. So
That's awesome. Man,
shout out to Thomas.
Yeah, dude. No, we're super excited about EllaLink. I love any kind of technology like that just brings us a little bit closer from a global perspective, breaks down some of these lines that we've drawn in the sand that the internet has done a good job of kind of breaking down a little bit. China, thank you for joining us as well. I know that we talked to our buddy Mateus here a bit, but I appreciate you joining us. It's always hard when we've got four voices here, but glad you could
it's
share
fine,
some
it's fine.
insight with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation too. I was happy to be here. A huge fan from you guys.
Ah, shit,
Thank you,
man.
Matt.
I appreciate it. So
And
yeah,
China is our head here in Dota 2. Like without him, nothing would work. So
there you go.
definitely his presence is necessary.
Thank
Well,
you.
folks, if you aren't already, make sure you follow SG Esports. They're on pretty much every social media platform you can imagine. They're doing great work in the region. I'm sure if you're a Brazilian Dota fan or esports fan, you've already seen some of the stuff they've done. But I love this kind of stuff. Appreciate you guys giving us a glimpse beneath the hood, kind of the candid, real talk that helps just connect all of these different perspectives and I think help fans understand the struggle that we're all facing. Dota, I think fundamentally is kind of a passion project, and always great just to hear these origin stories and all that stuff. Folks, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate your help in more discovery. Sub on YouTube, find us on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. We are a proper podcast here at SADPP. We appreciate all y'all listening. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Take care.